Super excited to be joined by the one and only Karmakut. What's up, man? He did breach upon the precipice of not being on Steam.
Yes.
So
Sure. Okay, so yeah, we can get into this. And like we've had these games take years to build. Like these milsim or like hardcore tactical shooters.
So it's not because you're trying to hide the player numbers on Steam.
And so that's when you start seeing the weird thing of like casualization, where you start seeing like really weird monetization strategies.
Like who?
Because I'll be honest, like I don't want to. It's horrible.
Talk
The
that
modding
shit.
experience.
Talk that shit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Push to Talk podcast, your premier FPS podcast, where we talk about everything from extraction shooters, battle royales, milsim games that cause a lot of friction, and everything in between. I'm joined here today by my co-host, Crash. How the fuck you doing, man?
I'm doing.
You're doing.
Yeah. Sorry, that friction comment caught me off guard. I'm thinking of chafing and
Yeah,
I worry
there's
about
a lot of
friction a lot.
friction there, yeah.
Yeah. But no, man. Yeah. As it, I keep saying it every week, but yeah, I'm up to it, man. Trying to get moved and get stuff down. I just got back from a week of working on the place and came back, and then I leave Friday to go again, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. But I did confirm. I think the program can continue because I did a couple test streams with Starlink, and it worked. So I think once I move, we can still continue to push the talk. So
Absolutely. What a great podcast name.
I think we're still on. Yeah, I know. It's incredible. It really is. It's nice.
Yeah, dude.
They say you can't carry a podcast on the name only.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
We're gonna brute force it. We're gonna make
It's a damn good name. What have you been up to, man? What are you doing?
Man, I've been playing a shit ton of Gray Zone Warfare. Honestly, that's been my only game that I've been really touching with all the Twitch drops and stuff going on. Been playing through that. Been back in Lemang for the first time in a long time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you been playing it much?
Yeah. I played it quite a bit when I'm home. That's what I've been streaming and playing. And yeah, man, the gameplay loop is a lot better, man. I think I just want you guys to stay tuned to the podcast because Fry and I are both dying to just have an episode where we just riff and talk about everything going on. Because man, there's just so much going on in our space right now with everything going on. Like the interview today about Bellum is insane. Gray Zone had a big drop.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff to talk about.
Literally any game that you've ever heard us talk about on this podcast, something has happened in the last 2 weeks, whether it's an update, a patch, or an implosion. It's insane.
ABI
is doing stuff. Battlefield would. Yeah. I would venture to say is the one you're talking about imploding.
That's it.
I didn't either. It's a guess. But yeah, dude, there's just so much to talk about. I can't wait to get into it. We have so much to talk about. And the War Dog stuff. Yeah. The War Dog stuff too. Holy shit, man. Yeah, so stay tuned to the podcast because the next episode is going to be a damn good one. And we're going to get into a lot of that stuff. But today's episode is also pretty damn good. With Karmakut, man.
Yeah, Karmakut.
He's here. He's in studio.
He is. He's sitting in the back in the green room right now. He's having a cigar. We're gonna bring him out on stage here real quick. But yeah, man, it's pretty crazy seeing that whole story from him. I mean, I've been watching Karmakut for over a decade. Now to watching him jump into the game dev space, and I think he's obviously been out here for a while doing Bellum in his alpha testing, but they're approaching the beta release. We're gonna talk about the journey to get here, how the devs kind of all came together, what they've been working on, and what they got coming in the future in this Prox Chat episode of the Push to Talk podcast. I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you can, leave a like on the video, leave a 5-star review if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever the hell you're listening to us. Just let us know your thoughts, leave a comment, and let us know what you think about Bellum, and are you going to be playing this weekend? Beta's launching April 10th. We're going to get into all that in just a moment here on this week's episode of the Push to Talk podcast.
Let's roll the Prox Chat. Guys, welcome into a very special Prox Chat segment of the show, or as I kind of want to call him, Fry wouldn't go for it. I kind of want to call it Two Game Devs and an Idiot. Like, that's what I want to call the segment because that's kind of what it is. But no, here we are, man. Super excited to be joined by the one and only Karmakut. What's up, man?
So happy to be here. Always have fun yapping. So Yeah, anytime I get a chance to yap, I always jump on it. So thanks for having me. Really do appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. We got a yapper. You've come to the right place. That's what we do. That's how we make our bread. So anyways, yeah, let's just get right into it. We have so much to talk about. I'm sure we're going to say it at the end too, but man, thank you so much for joining. This is a crazy time. You're just a couple days away from a beta launch from a game that you're developing. So you got to be super busy. So thank you so much for taking a slice of time to talk to us. We appreciate that very much. To get started, I always like to get a quick rundown, if you can, a summary of how you like, what games you like to play, how you got into gaming, and then content creation, and then to the point where you're like, I'm going to make my own game. How did that come to be?
Yeah. So I've always been like a tactical shooter purist, I guess. It started maybe 10 years ago before I even had the channel. I played a lot of Arma 3. Or it started with Arma 2 DayZ. Just when that was popping off, and that got me into like, oh, what is Arma? Yeah. I started looking at Arma, and then Arma 3 came out, and started playing a lot of Wasteland. And Wasteland isn't really that like milsim-y really, but it's got like it's an Arma 3 mod where you have multiple factions kind of fighting around the map and whatnot. But it was like close enough. And then around that time, Squad was coming out to early access on Steam, and one of my friends I played Wasteland with was like, oh, you should check out this game Squad. And I was never going to buy Squad. That's the funny part. And Squad is like what my whole YouTube channel is based off of. But my friend Termy just like gifted me Squad for Christmas, I think it was. And from there, I just fell in love with the game, fell in love with Squad. Pretty much no life Squad all the way up until maybe I started doing some Tarkov stuff, Insurgency Sandstorm, the whole like tactical kind of FPS scene. Got into Arma 3 stuff a little bit later on, actually, after I kind of got burnt out of Squad and whatnot. Postscriptum, Hell Let Loose, all those games. And then just I'm sure as a lot of people in the niche kind of feel like we've been playing the same games for so long, and we're just waiting for that next game that like kind of evolves around like all the lessons learned from the previous games. And I just got tired of waiting, I guess. And I had some ideas of my own. And so we're like, you know what, let's just pull the trigger. It's been like 10 years that I, had the pleasure and the privilege to play these kind of games nonstop, some insights gained in that regard. So let's just try to take what we've learned and apply it and, kind of create a new experience for all the people in the niche. So that's kind of like the general story. It's just very purist. It's just like, what do we do to play the next cool, realistic, tactical thing? And how do I showcase that? And that just kind of led from one thing to another.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's what makes me, and I think a lot of people, excited to see Bellum as like somebody that you have the resume of you've lived in this space. Like that's all you play, that's all you do. So it's going to be cool to see how you put that pen to paper when this game comes out. One background thing I did want to ask super quick. I see you got some firearms in the background. What kind of IRL shooting do you do? Range stuff? Do you do any competitions or? No,
just range stuff with some friends, and I really don't get around to doing it too much. A lot of the stuff is airsoft stuff too as well. I did a lot more airsoft than I did real steel shooting, and that's just because like it was more fun. It was like because that was like another thing. It was like I took a lot of lessons from like the airsoft events, the Milsim airsoft events I went to as well, because there's like a lot of teamwork and coordination on that end too. Like range shooting is fun and everything, but like I'm a huge nerd for like the tactics and the coordination. So flying out to some of these big events where there's like hundreds of people playing airsoft together, like that was always so much fun. And yeah, it was that's the vast majority of like the real world like shooting or running and stuff was mainly airsoft though. Yeah,
that's cool, man. I used to love playing paintball, and I don't know like what happened when like we switched from paintball to airsoft. Like something happened back in the day, but when I was younger, man, paintball was the thing, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's good to get out there, touch some grass every now and then.
For sure. Fry, you want to get us on track?
Yeah, let's
get us on track.
Well, so, sorry. Okay, I do have a question because I want to kind of dial it back a little bit. So you moved from Squad, and I remember the transition that when you were burnt out of Squad, I remember you making those videos. You jumped into Arma, and you were doing some modding in Arma, which is kind of I would say the basis and the early kind of iteration for where you guys are at now with Bellum. What I'd like to do is, what was missing from Arma that you guys felt like you needed to make that transition to make something of your own? And then what did that turn into, and give the people the elevator pitch for what Bellum actually is?
Sure. So it goes back one step further. So it actually started with Squad modding. And from Squad modding, just because Squad was the main game I played and I saw the flaws in the game that I know life every day. And so I tried to make a mod in that game that solved the replayability issues, solved the issue with teamwork, solved the issue with the game just not being as authentic in the coordination side that I thought it could be,
Okay.
and missing kind of the more authentic strategical planning portion of it. Because I think a lot of the games end up, because they're made by game developers, right? They feel very gamey. There's like an objective, and there's like a very clear thing that you do, and it's like it's very gamified. Where I think that there's some area that you can explore within these experiences where you can push the line a little bit further as far as what is simulation and what is game, and essentially create a simulation style experience that plays as easily and accessible as a game would, if that makes any sense at all. Because I think to a lot of people, when they hear, oh, military simulation, they think, oh god, I have to find a community, I have to download all these mods, I have to do all these key bindings. There's Milsim is not really a game as much as it is like a very curated experience. Yeah. And my belief, or my goal, is to kind of show people that Milsim doesn't have to be, or even roleplay, right? This cringy roleplay, right, like custom keybind, all these mods, community, like it doesn't have to be that. I don't believe that that the top tier Milsim gaming experience has to be that. I think it could be boiled down to be more accessible. I think it could be boiled down to be more, new player friendly, and just also just push the experience of what is possible within that realm even further than what we have now. And so that was Squad's dynamic direction. That was the first mod that we started with, where we attempted that goal of like create a dynamic experience where there's more military or strategic planning, and you have people actually coordinating together rather than running off, lone wolfing, right, and playing games as you would play an FPS game. Yeah. And from that, it was like, I'll be honest, like I don't want to. Squad's SDK was horrible. The modding experience. Talk that shit. The modding experience in Squad is horrible. There's a reason why there's so few mods in Squad, and it's because the modding support is very subpar. So the next natural thing of like where I could get more control and where I could get more freedom with how we develop things was Arma. That was the natural next step. Yeah. And it's so funny because like Arma 3 is technically like a step backwards, right? Like it is an older game. It is. But it was more freeing in that sense. And so we got a lot more control in Arma. We got to test a lot more of our concepts more easily, I should say. Yeah. And we were able to really get into some experimental game modes and whatnot with one life and limited life things and sessions and events. But that's where the Arma 3 kind of community and gameplay kind of came out to shine. And there's some modding projects I'll just name drop for the people that knows, like KC Liberation or the Kill Cog stuff or the Cog event stuff. Like we were very deliberate in pushing the limits of what you could do in a video game to make it authentic. And I think we were pretty successful with that. Like I look back just personally as like, I don't know if I'll ever top that gaming experience. And it's, I'm not saying Bellum will be that, but I think we can take lessons learned from that top tier Milsim experience and boil it down into Bellum to share with the rest of everyone. Gotcha.
Nice. I want to expand on one thing that you said and kind of harken back to when we had you on the Scope podcast back in June. So you mentioned, so like you said just now, you said, when you hear Milsim, it's like, oh man, I got to find someone that does the mods. I got to find a community. I'm going to have to get in the Discord and like try to get plugged in. And I remember you mentioned that you wanted to be able to lower that barrier of entry into a Milsim game that people could just play. You also wanted to design the game where platoon-like coordination naturally happened. I know that was one of your big things you were talking about. Were you seeing that in the playtest so far? Are you meeting your goal?
Oh yes. Yeah. That's probably the most fun thing, is just watching the games from above, because you can see now these platoon coordinations occur. Like the community, it's a big learning curve, right? Because and that's like good or bad, right? You could look at it like, oh, it's good because it means the game is fresh and new, and it's like something people haven't experienced before, and so they kind of stumble around with it. They don't really know how to play it yet. But it's also challenging because it's like, oh god, people have to like kind of wrap their brain around how this experience plays. It is different, and so that's something that we designed Bellum. So where, yes, you are going to stumble. You're definitely going to stumble the first couple games. You're going to have to wrap your head around it, much like, a hardcore game like Tarkov, right? Tarkov, you definitely, like, the first time you step in, you're like, what the heck is going on? I don't know what's happening. But, like, over time and repetitions and playing around after round after round, you kind of learn and improve. And so early on in the beta, it was definitely, or alpha, I should even say, it was a little rough. Like people had to figure it out. But over time, like you can really see like people like it, something clicks in your brain after a couple rounds and you're like, okay, I understand it now. But the other cool thing is just like seeing the community help each other as well. That's been like a super big theme. Is you have the cool thing is that Bellum is not this like random hardcore intense game that has no grounding in anything. It's grounded in real world tactics. It's grounded in like authentic military strategy. And so the cool thing is you can take a lot of this information that a lot of dudes know from being in the service or like having experience in real world, and they can apply it. So there's like some people in the community who like already kind of get how Bellum plays without ever playing Bellum because it is so applicable, or their real world skills are so applicable, if that makes sense.
If you had to boil down the like, because I know when it comes to the beta, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, you're coming out with a new mode for that. If you were to boil down the core experience, what is a player doing when he drops in boots on the ground? What's the objective currently in Bellum?
Sure. So the one thing we'll just say, just because it sets, I think, a lot of the tone for the entirety of the game is number one goal is to survive.
Right.
Not in the sense of like an extraction shooter, but because you have limited lives, like everything you do is like, can I do this and survive? Can I kill this guy and can I survive after? Can I do whatever it is and then survive? Can I move 200 meters this way and then survive? And that provides a ton of the framing for a lot of the game because it means that you're actually like locked in to every decision. It means that, you know, this next tree line that we move to, that is an objective. That is something we have to sit there and figure out to do so that everyone is, or as many of us are alive by the time we make it there.
Right.
And so the objectives are very simple for a reason. The two game modes we have are attrition, which is very simply like find and kill the enemy team before they find and kill you. And the second is the new one that you mentioned is exploitation, which is destroy enemy caches. And so you have conventional forces, which is currently the Ranger Regiment and the Satyr PMCs right now. They get into the map, they spawn in, and the other team, the Insurgent Force, the Al-Zalam team, they go out, they start on the map earlier. There's a circle or AO where everyone plays within, and they have to go and actually, it's kind of like hide and seek. They have to hide 3 of these caches on the map. And so they have total freedom to place these caches so long as it's in the area.
Cool.
So like players have like, we talk about replayability. They can change wherever they want to put it. If there's a meta that develops, you have the freedom to change that meta because you are the one picking where you're putting the cache. And the conventional force, their task is very simple. Like on paper, it's go and destroy the enemy caches. But it's all these micro steps in between doing that that adds like this really deep like texture to the experience. Because as a conventional force, you only know where the area is. You don't know where the enemy is. You don't know where the cache is. How do you, so like step one, how do we find the cache and enemy? Right? You have to go out as a team and like find the enemy. You can't go out piecemeal or lone wolf or one by one because they'll just gobble you up. Right? So the experience already demands that you work as a team. Because if you go out alone, like you're walking into a forest full of wolves, right? So you really want to coordinate a plan, come up with a plan. You push out, and the way you gather intelligence on where the cache is both just by observing and looking where these players are coming from or where you think it might be based on the terrain, but also by killing enemies and then searching their body, and that generates a circle that gets smaller and smaller the more intelligence you gather. And so, like as you can tell, like a lot of this thinking is very sensical. The game mode is very sensical. It's very authentic in what you're doing and and how do you interact with the systems. So we want to make it super intuitive. You're not doing a whole bunch of like, oh, I have to put this thing down because it generates this random resource that I then have to like, you know, whatever the case may be. It's very simple. Like find the people, kill the caches, but the limited lives once again just makes it so like we can't just like YOLO out there. We have to have a plan. We're moving from here to here. All right, we do this and then that. And we do it all so that as many of us are alive as possible, because we all depend on each other. And it's a super cool experience because you get this curated milsim like operation experience out of the box, right? You just hop in and like everyone's on the same page. Everyone understands that we have to work as a team. Everyone understands what we have to do because the game is so simple on paper. It is so simple on paper. When you launch in, you don't see anything on the map aside from the circle. So it's like, all right, how are we together? How are we going to do this? So, instead of like, oh, the game tells me where I go.
Do you choose where you spawn as, like, how does that happen when you jump into a game? Do you choose loadouts? Like, I'm just trying to paint a picture for people who might not have even experienced this yet.
For sure. So basically right now, so we're working on a dynamic AO system.
Okay.
And so basically what that means is every time you play a map of Bellum, you get a randomized AO, which is like, that's like a kind of a standard thing at this point for a lot of games, is like randomize the playable area for replayability. And then we can randomize all the other aspects as well, like where your spawns are. So you never know where the end, that's a big thing, is ambiguity in the experience, is not knowing. Not knowing is so important in Bellum for like creating the actual gameplay. Because when you come in, like you can't metagame anything, because you just deal with what's in front of you, because the enemy could be anywhere. And so you come in, you spawn, there's a main base area, everyone kind of gets together, they figure it out, you pick your role out of the roster, and the roster is very rigid so that communication and coordination is very easy. It's not like, oh God, I have 15 different squads and they're all doing random things. Every time you hop into a game of Bellum, you know exactly how many squads there are, you know exactly what every squad is doing, because it's a hard standardized. Instead of like these free floating games where you have like, oh God, what is everyone doing? It's just chaos. And then there's a small staging time where, you know, one team is setting up, the other team is planning, and then you just go, and then you just play. And the match goes until a win condition is met. Once again, in attrition, that's just running the enemy out of manpower or influence, if you're able to get more influence than the enemy. And that basically is just having more dudes up. It's kind of like King of the Hill-ish, where you have more dudes in the area than the enemy, and you're weighted a little more in the center. And then exploitation is pretty much destroying the caches. And the caches also generate influence, so you can't just sit back as the conventional force.
Gotcha.
If you just sit back, these caches will they'll just end the game.
Yeah.
So you're on a timer to, you feel this like time sensitive pressure of like, we're searching and destroying these things.
Cool.
So yeah, super simple, but like it is the decisions of every step. And I know a lot of games are saying that right now as well.
Yeah.
But it's the decision of everything that you do leading up to the objective. And it's not uncommon, which is super cool. I think this is a super cool thing, to play a whole 1 hour, 45-minute game of Bellum on one life. Like that's how the experience plays. Like the experienced guys, like they'll be able to survive it. And that's a super unique like milsim feeling, right? It's like, I survived this story. I survived the beginning, middle, and the end. And I got there on one life. And it's cool. I like it.
You seem
biased,
very
of course.
well, of course, but you seem very passionate about it too, which is it's honestly like, to me,
good.
this is your culmination of like 10 plus years coming from, you know, playing games, creating content, building the team, and now you're putting out your this feels like your dream project, right?
Yes,
you know,
yes, it's my dream game for sure.
I want to talk about game development a little bit. So before you started, obviously you guys were involved in the modding scene and stuff. What did you think this process was going to be like versus like what hit you the hardest, you know, going into it? What was the biggest stumbling block for you trying to figure this shit out?
Sure. Okay. So yeah, modding very different from game development.
Yeah.
I knew it would be different. I didn't know how different it would be. It is definitely more challenging than I first thought. But it is also more eye-opening in that regard as well, where you just get to learn and see what is possible, what is not possible, what takes time, what doesn't take time. And so it's been very insightful so far, this journey.
Yeah.
And I think that like another thing was just learning timelines, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, learning timelines, how long certain things take, and then like, oh, like some bug comes up that you like, oh, what the heck is this bug? Yeah, but it's I just take it one day at a time.
That's what you have to do.
You know, we just take it one day at a time. Like, okay, we're just, and then pivot, right? Figure it out, like what you can do where, how you can make things better, what short-term gains you can make, like how just pivot, and be flexible. Yeah, that's just been like the experience is the cool thing is that like from the outset, I knew exactly in my mind what we wanted to build.
Right.
So like a lot of the questions when it comes down to how do we do this, or what should happen here, or like what mechanics do we have, like it's very simple for me. It's like, this is what do this, pop, answer all these questions, direction, whatever. The hard part is just like guys working with the actual like engine, and then just also the tooling and figuring out like the actual procedural issues and execution. But yeah, it's just been that's the hardest part, is figuring out, especially because we're working with like UE5 and like all the new stuff. It's like there's just not, when we started, there was not enough like free floating,
Yeah.
amazing material.
That's
So it's
exactly
like,
why we
oh
chose
god.
Unreal Engine 4. At that
Yeah.
time, Unreal 5 didn't have a lot of documentation at all, and it was
Mhm.
super unstable. So kudos to you guys for sticking
Yes.
through that. I do have a question. I'm going off script here. I don't care. Frameworks.
We have a script. Wait,
Right. We've talked to a lot of devs on here who are utilizing Unreal Engine 5, and they talk a lot about their tooling. Have you guys looked into or have you developed to be able to pull this off? I'm sure you're trying to be performant, you're trying to optimize it as well as being over a network. What kind of frameworks and tooling have you guys had to invest time into to actually make this thing possible?
So my experience or my answer here is going to be kind of limited just because I'm more on the design side. But
Right.
from what I know from like the guys in the trenches, right, is like we use a lot of PCG tooling, and PCG has been pretty powerful for the level creation side of things.
Cool.
And then also just so one of the things is we have Corey from Corey Postma who worked on Squad for a long time on the team. And so he was very adamant in making sure that we did not deviate too far from like the engine, right? Because that's also another trap. It's like you start customizing everything. And it's like, okay, engine update comes out. It's like, oh.
Well, on top of it, onboarding as well, bringing on new devs. Now you have to get them familiar with all these, custom tools. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we try to avoid doing too many crazy like custom things, but we do like have like you'd have to grab Corey on here, and he does some like wizardry to like oh like we have to change some engine code here, and we have to do some interesting things. Like okay, over my head, I trust you.
Cool.
But we do we use a decent amount of tooling, but we do also try to stick pretty close to the Epic standards and engine.
Awesome.
Cool. So right along those lines with like how crazy it is to put a game together, I just have to say I haven't played it, but I kept up very closely with everything, and just seeing your guys's like patch notes for the play test coming out before the weekend, I would see a tweet from you guys and I'm like, oh, they're just doing like an incremental patch before play test, and it's like you reworked grenades, you guys are sharing magazines, there's a whole bunch of new animations for different kinds of ways to heal and stuff, and like just you guys were like for a while there weekly adding like crazy features like every week. How the hell did you do that?
So we are big fans of like rapid iteration. We make sure that like we can push builds easy, and they're like we try to keep it so that we can iterate very fast. Like that's super important, just to like especially working on the bleeding edge of like UE5, like not knowing like what the heck is gonna work or not, like being able to undo stuff or whatever. But yeah, we try to keep the flow, especially during the alpha. Like there was a lot of pressure to just go, and we'll go smartly and carefully, obviously, not just throw spaghetti at the wall. But we really wanted to crank things out super fast in the alpha, because that was the time where we knew where if things broke, like that was the most forgiving, I guess you could say, testing group. So we were like, okay, just crank, and if it's broken, we let them know and we just fix it. So things will definitely slow down as we move to beta and onward, on kind of like I'd say more of a monthly cycle, where it's like, alpha was nuts. Alpha, the pacing of alpha, like we're pushing updates like every week, if not every other week, if not every week. In order to just test things and iterate as fast as humanly possible, because that's one of the like really crucial things I think learning in game dev is testing is valuable. And the one caveat to that for our experiment or for our game, our project, is that our project is a high player count, right? We need a lot of players in order to test a lot of stuff, and the amount of times during alpha we could get the amount, that player count, right, to consistently like test like semi-broken stuff. It's a very rare resource. So we want to use that resource as much as humanly possible, as effectively as possible, in order to crank this stuff out. So that was like, I think that's a unique project thing, is just the higher player count number of our project demanded that, as much as we could to use that testing group early, rather than, wait until like later on when we have too many people that we wouldn't be satisfied with the quality of tests we were putting out.
Right.
So that was kind of the mentality there. But yeah, I think it had to do very much so with the player counts we wanted to test with.
The pacing was crazy.
It was insane. And like I said, when it came to all the patch notes and stuff, I was like, I'm just gonna. I wanted to wait, and I don't know why. I think mainly. Well, I mean, we've had conversations, right? When I hear milsim nowadays, you talked about that accessibility, and it's just one of those things. Like, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. I want to play it when it's in a better state. I just bought the beta the other day, so I'm very excited. I'm jumping in this weekend.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I want to ask, how big is the dev team size?
So I don't know. I know we talked about this briefly before.
Yeah.
I pulled up the numbers before because I knew you would ask. So let me see what we're at now. Let's see. I think we're at 15 full timers.
Okay.
About 4 part time, and then like various other like that are floating some hours in between and or on commission
Contract
artists.
stuff,
Well, yeah, that too, and then also because I know you're gonna talk about this as well, because we're not on Steam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of infrastructure to maintain, so we
Yeah.
do have to have some extra roles just for DevOps and IT and stuff like that, server stuff.
Yeah.
That are part of that group as well. But yeah, that's roughly the size: 15 full time, and then 4-ish part time.
How did you get there? How do you go from 0 to that?
So that's another thing, right? Where it might look like we went from 0 to this, right? But back in squad, like maybe 6 or something years ago,
Yeah.
we Barton and I, like he's the partner and CEO right now at Astardi. We started AWN, which was a server hosting company for squad servers. Yeah, so we've just been building up that infrastructure and learning about that side of things for years now. And so we already had hardware deployed, and we knew how we wanted to distribute. We knew like how we wanted the hardware to be set up, and we knew what was required of that. So that was like, it might seem like, oh my God, how are these guys like pop it up out of nowhere? But yeah, no, it was not built in one day.
Well, I mean,
that was just unique.
Your story is very unique because it sounds like if you really look at your history, you guys had 10 years of pre-production going into this game. So it's very, very impressive. Now I have to ask, did you run into any like early team issues, misalignments? Has it gone smooth throughout the course of this development?
Sure. So kind of the same thing. Very unique position where just from being in the scene for 10 years or whatever, a lot of the initial and even like second wave, even like third wave people that we added onto the team, they're people that I just know. I just knew. So it was like, it was so blessed. Where like I know someone for that. Oh, I know someone for this. And it was just, we built this team. And what that means is that like, we're all pretty much aligned on a lot of stuff. Of course, there's still disagreements about certain things. If you have different ways of doing things, but like the general understanding is like a lot of these guys, like they know that I handpicked them because of their passion in the scene. I know they know what I want. And I know that they play well with others for the most part.
Right. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. So very lucky, very, very lucky.
No,
very lucky.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where like when lightning strikes, it's perfect. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And that we can talk about that a little bit too, as well as like, I never thought I'd make a game. I really didn't ever think I'd make a game.
Right.
But like during that drought, I was kind of like, I have a very lucky, very unique position where all of the stars have aligned in order for me to try to pull this off. If anyone is going to try to pull this off, I should try because like I have so many advantages. It would be a shame to not at least try.
And you'd always wonder, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yep. So all my questions, Fry, like I have like gameplay questions.
Yeah. You're the marketing guy for Bellum. I'm the guy that just wants to talk about how you got to where I love that. Yeah.
With that being said,
go ahead.
He did breach upon the precipice of not being on Steam.
Yes.
So let's get into that. Why is it working out? Do you regret it?
Okay, so yeah, we can get into this, and like we've had, yes, for sure. So there's a couple of components, right? And this will get rambly, so if I get off, just reel me back in. So the first is that the knowledge and experience within the genre or this understanding that these games take years to build. Like these milsim or like hardcore tactical shooters. You look at Tarkov, you look at Arma, you look at Squad, you look at Hella Loose. These are like 5 year, if not decade long projects. That took time. So we looked at that and we looked at the financials of like what is required. How do we avoid shooting ourselves in the foot, and how do we sustain for that duration, right? Because one observation that I made, and I think you also make this observation as well, is like a lot of these games they'll go and they'll go and they'll go, and then they'll kind of like run out of the initial like player-based money. And so that's when you start seeing the weird thing of like casualization, or you start seeing like really weird monetization strategies because they never planned. Sorry.
Like,
go ahead.
Like who? Like, give me an example.
Do you remember the New World Chinese skin?
Yes, I do.
So that's one of them, right? Or you start seeing like, I'll be honest, like when I started playing Squad, I never thought, like I thought, okay, maybe they'll add in some emotes, right? And then you start seeing, okay, they're adding in like Fortnite style emotes where like they're slamming bricks on their head, or they're doing deadlifts in the middle of a match. Like I never thought that would happen. Like, or you see games I know Hell Let Loose catches a decent amount of flack for this. Like a lot of people think, oh, back when Hell Let Loose Kickstarter started, like the game was like sold, or this idea was that it'd be more hardcore, and then you kind of felt this casualization or this expansion to other games, or even games like Armor Forger even catch a little flack because it's like, oh, they're consoleizing the experience a little bit more.
Ready
and
or
like,
Not recently too, right? Ready or Not, Insurgency.
Yeah.
Pretty much every single game in the genre has come up against this issue.
Yeah, and whether or not it might be true, we just didn't want to. We want to avoid that situation as much as possible, where we would have to sacrifice vision in order to get another like lump of funding to continue development, right? We want to make sure from the start, like financially, we would be able to retain as much and keep floating for as long as possible, like to avoid any massive pivot to have to get a whole bunch of players. Because that's one thing, is that like the milsim scene demographic is like, it's definitely grown a substantial amount over the past like 10 years, but it is still like limited in number. And once you sell those copies to that group, like you have to find the money somewhere, whether that's additional monetization or it's going wider to console or casualization of the game. We wanted to just avoid that situation as best as we could. And so saving like the 30% on Steam, like mathematically is massive because we just retain so much. It's also why there's like higher tiers. I know like some people like to rip on us for that, and totally get it. Some people like are like, this I don't understand why.
I might have been one of them, maybe not ripping, but I saw some of those tiers. I was like, holy fuck, that's more expensive than I expected from you know. And you've been completely honest about those other issues with those games. But now that we're hearing it, it makes more sense. And we talked about this. I think we were down in LA, and you kind of let me in on your thought process there. Yeah. I totally get that friction from the player base.
Yeah, there's just a lot we want to do to maintain, like, and we just knew because we are those people. Like, there's a diehard group of fans that understand like the vision and what it might take to attain that vision. And that's kind of like, that was a risk. It was definitely a risk of like Founder Edition. Like, it was like, people are there really those people out there that believe as hard as we do and trust us as much as we trust ourselves, and like, so sold out like a day. It's like, wow. Okay. And that was massive, right? Because that amount of funding, keeping 30% that early on, like that is like, I mean, you know, from game dev too, like if you got an injection of that much off rip where it wasn't coming from a publisher with strings attached, right? Also avoiding publishers as well, right? If we could avoid all these strings, like that is a massive leg up. And so that's kind of the route we chose, and we knew we'd catch flack for it. We knew like some people would opt out, but I knew that the demographic I was trying to reach, for the most part, like they understood, and they would, you know, we hoped that they would believe in us, and they have thus far, and I'm happy to see that like a lot of them are very happy with their purchase thus far, and a lot of them, reading those comments, of those positivity comments, it really does like reinvigorate us, because it's like these people trusted us and we're delivering, and that's like super important.
So it's not because you're trying to hide the player numbers on Steam.
So we can talk about player count as well, because that is also a component, and I know we touched on this briefly, but player count, I don't think bigger means better in terms of player count with this specific genre, with this specific game.
Okay.
I think bigger means better when it comes to like, oh, you know, it means the studio gets more funding. But like, if we have ways to counteract that balance, whether it's with tiers or not being on Steam, right? Because we retain more of every sale. Like what's important to us is that we have a healthy group of people. We can keep servers full, and people are enjoying the experience. Like, the number doesn't really matter to us as much as I think it has to matter for other studios who have set up their financials differently. Right. Like, I think you've talked about this as well, as like some games state, like, if we don't hit this number, we're closing the studio.
It seems like it. I mean,
So I want to bring up an example to this, because this is literally just happening as of today. Have you been following the War Dog situation at all?
A little bit. Yeah.
Because so they put a video out today talking about their early access expectations and how they're building a game that isn't for everybody. There's friction involved, and a lot of publishers don't want to get involved with that. And so they laid out their early access expectations, what numbers we need to hit, or what numbers we'd like to hit that we internally would deem successful. Have you guys thought about those kind of like optics? What kind of numbers are you looking for? What kind of player base do you need to sustain this game long term?
What I can say right now is that yeah, this is a great question for Barton, because he's the nerd. I've got spreadsheets on spreadsheets. We're like, what I can say is like, the way that we've set ourselves up is in a way such that we don't have to worry about that. we don't have to think about player count numbers as much as all these other studios do,
Right.
just with how we like, so like it's very different in that regard, to where like it wasn't like, oh, we have this publisher that has a chokehold on us, and
Right.
we're going on Steam and we're losing another 30%
Yeah.
on top of like whatever the publisher takes,
Dude.
which is like, you hear some crazy stuff about some publishers. Like, it's no wonder that some of these games have to come out and have to hit 30,000 concurrent players or something, because like the studio's strangled because they're not taking home any money. And so just we built a very comfortable space for us, to where like, so long as we have popular servers and we have people joining like and purchasing in, like we're gonna be able to survive the long haul or the long march that we know that this will take.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we frame it in our minds, rather than chasing a very specific like, oh, we have to hit 10,000 or we shut down the studio, because it's just different for us the way that we've set it up. Yeah.
So I have a quick kind of a follow up to all that. So you've kind of set yourself up for success and for like survivability of your guys' dev team by, you know, keeping that funding, keeping a publisher out, you guys own it, all that stuff. This is the first time kind of hearing about you had like a server business in the future. And when we talk about devs, I'm always surprised by just how much servers cost. Like, it's insane. So does having some experience in that field help you also with your sustainability?
Most definitely. Like for one very obvious one, right? Because we were in the server hosting business before, it meant that we had all the hardware prior, which meant like when all the AI stuff popped off, like, oh my God, like thank God we had all this stuff already, because that stuff went through the roof. All that hardware went through the roof. And we're like, thank God we already have a lot of this stuff. So hardware knowledge is super important. Networking is super important. There's a lot of cool things that we can do because we have full control. And then just like a side product of that is, it means that when it comes to third-party hosts, or like not third-party hosts, I should say, like community servers, it means that we have direct control. You don't have to go through a third party. You don't have to pay a third-party markup price.
True.
So we offer it direct. We can offer it at cost. We can offer, we'll beat any price just because it is our stuff. And then it also means that we have like so much more tie-in and control. So there's just a lot of advantages. And once again, like, I don't recommend like devs do that. Like, by any means, it was just a very unique situation with our studio because of just the background and the things we had prior. And that was just like a magical star. I by no means do I think it's necessary or should like studios even attempt to host their own or infrastructure. It's just a unique advantage.
So with this sustainability talk, and I love the position that you guys have set yourselves in. We're going into beta April 10th. For those who are watching this is probably going to be going out that day. I have two questions.
Sure.
How do people get involved? And then also, what's the roadmap looking like? How long do you guys see yourselves being in this beta phase? And are we going to 1.0 after beta? What does the future look like now that we're here?
Sure. So, first question, to get involved, very simple, playbellum.com, launcher's right there, store page is right there. Just download it. You'll get an email with your key, plug it in, and just like any other launcher, you just load it up and play. The other question was what happens after. So we'll be in beta for a little bit just because it's a very ambitious project. But we still plan on early access this year. So early access this year, and then that will continue until we hit 1.0.
Okay.
And just we're on once we hit beta, we're on kind of like a monthly update cycle versus the craziness. Was alpha of like a patch once a week. That was insanity. So yeah, we will kind of slow down, but beta was like that marker that we set for ourselves. We're like, okay, like there's enough content, there's enough replayability, there's enough, texture here that we can let them play for a month, and they'll chew on it and have fun. And then come back with another update in the next month. And this is like a very big moment for the team, because it means like, oh God, like all the guys are like, thank God, Karma, we're not doing a patch a week anymore. We get 3 weeks to work. So that was a big thing. The team is very happy to be at this stage. But that's kind of the plan. There's a lot of features planned, and then like, to be quite frank, like, we don't know how far the game will go. We'll take it as far, like what we'll say is we'll take it as far as we can. There's so many ideas, so many new innovative mechanics and features and game modes and designs that we want to add in. But like, it's just how far we go, and we really want to make the game that I think every milsim player has dreamed about, and there's a lot of things that go into that.
Awesome.
So whenever you go over to that website, I just want to let people know so they don't have to bounce from the episode on pricing and stuff. So the way I understand, I want to make sure I get this right. To get into the beta, like essentially today or April 10th, whenever you guys are hearing this, that's the deluxe edition, the $47.99 version.
Yes.
And then if you buy the standard edition at $35, you're going to get in early access, which is later this year.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you say early access, you're not talking about obviously Steam's early access. That's just a label you're putting on the next phase of that development.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct. So beta is like beta will be weekend tests until we roll into 24/7 servers. And then so every weekend before in alpha it was every other weekend,
right?
And that was like, but we still ran tests, like we still like, hey, just hop in tomorrow. We gotta test some stuff. But now like servers will be up Friday to Sunday for all of beta, and then that'll expand next month to Thursday through Sunday, and then to Wednesday through Sunday as the month rolls on. And then early access is the date we go, okay, boom, 24/7 servers, we're hands off, like not hands off, but like we're open at that point, like completely open at that point.
And then I do have a question. Players will be able to eventually host their own servers in game. Is that something that they can do beta day one, or is that coming later?
That's coming in beta. That's part of the beta rollout process. I'll probably happen in May. I'd say. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
Don't hold me to that.
Write it down.
I think May. I think May is when communities will start hosting their own servers.
Awesome. I have another question because I knew how I felt going into the game launch.
Sure.
What's getting you nervous going into this launch? Yeah, obviously a lot of excitement. What are you nervous about?
The most nerve-wracking thing is the game goes too wide, like in all honesty. Like we don't want the game to go too wide like this early on. That's like very much so like part of the reason why we were off Steam as well. It's part of the reason why the beta rollout is structured this way, is we want a steady controlled growth. We don't want a big boom at this current exact moment. So we want to reach the people we want to play the game, but we don't want to go so far wide just because we're focused right now. The studio is focused right now in delivering to the hardcore fans, right, of the genre. And it isn't. We have to do that first, in my mind, in my opinion, before we go on and add in these things that can coax or guide people who are adjacent to the genre into the experience too, if that makes sense. Because the game is different. It is different. It can be even overwhelming at times. And so an influx of like a massive big boom outside of our control would be like very difficult for us to handle, and it would sort itself eventually, but like we want to keep a controlled growth. That is the number one thing, and I think thankfully, like I think we're on target for that. We're very happy with like how the trailer went out and like the attention we've got hasn't like gotten too crazy or anything like that. And I think that this is just also I think I got this kind of experience from like doing the Milsim videos as well. Is just like, when you are delivering to your audience, and I think you also have like probably have some experience with this, and then a video goes viral and you end up seeing people who are like, this video is not meant for you, and you have the weirdest takes or the weirdest reactions. Like so like that would be pretty difficult to manage. And so we want to keep it like controlled and hitting the people we want to hit.
So you have a target demographic, you have a target player that you're looking to grab. Who is that player?
It is the player that wants, like, there's a dream I think a lot of tactical or milsim gamers have, where like you have actual squads working together and using like real tactics to a degree, using actual teamwork and being able to simulate combat in that manner. And in my opinion, no game has been able to achieve this outside of like super curated like Arma events and communities and modded servers, like super high barrier to entry. But I think a lot of people, just because I know them, like I don't know if you know like Controlled Pair, Controlled Pairs, but you also know like Hayabun Dance. There's like these creators that come up as well, so I see it all the time. Where like it's funny because I look back and I'm like, this was me 5 years ago, where they're trying like, this is how you use Squad Calm Fire Team Wedge in Squad, and you're just like, it doesn't work in Squad. So yeah, it's creating the space for those kinds of people who are tactically minded at the larger than individual sense, like actual teamwork and tactics simulation to a degree. It's the funny thing is that like it's a demographic that exists, but there isn't a home for them. Like you can't really point to one place outside of like super concentrated Arma 3 milsim groups,
Right.
because they're all just scattered around these games like Hell at Loose or
Yeah.
Squad or Reforger or whatnot, and they're just kind of like dealing with it. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, this is what we have, and we play it, and we try to use tactics here or teamwork, and they try. But I think that that's what we want those players to call Bellum home.
Gotcha.
The people who are like actually looking for the teamwork and the firefights you see in, you know, videos or in movies, you know, these gritty, like you're covering and you're engaging and it's like a minute long engagement, or like instead of a lot of these games, they just end up like head tap, move next, head tap, move next, or rat fights in the jungle or in trees. Yeah. Because that's, I think a lot of the genre turns into rat fighting. Where you're just like, I'm a lone wolf. I've got a PKM. I got an RPG and 15 mines in my back, and I'm just gonna go out here and sit in a bush. So we want the squad guys. We want the squad-minded players, not the game, but the squad-minded players.
Right.
That's the experience. That's who we're calling out to.
So when we talked about that, we got into like in depth on how things were going back in June on like how the actual modes are working out. One of the things that stuck with me, I remember in my head, is you're going for like asymmetric combat, right? You have the guys going and hiding the caches, and you kind of have like an attack defend kind of thing going on. In my mind, like I can't wrap my head around how difficult that would be to balance. For me, thinking of balancing a game is like I think of like S&D, like we have a symmetrical map, we put a bomb in the middle, everybody has a fair chance. Like, how was balancing an asymmetrical mode so you kind of get that win rate close? And like, how is that going? Like
sure.
Balancing that.
Like Big Fry said, 10 years pre-production.
Right.
So it was just a ton of like, it wasn't like some epiphany. It was just hard work over years of hosting these events, of hosting these modded experiences, of hosting these game modes that we came up with, and just seeing what worked and what didn't work, and seeing what worked and what didn't. Iteration, whether it was squad modding or armor modding, whatever the case may be. And you ended up with this, you just like a sense of how to do it. And one of the things that you mentioned as well is like, the experience is balanced in, how do I say this? The game is so rooted in tactics and execution that it almost does not matter what a team is equipped with or the factions themselves to a degree. The factions are almost balanced or set up in a way that makes them play differently. That's the thing, is that it makes them play differently. But what actually wins the match is how you use those tools, if that makes any sense. So you could have like a good team that coordinates better, like of random players, play against another team, and it doesn't really matter what the factions are. At the end of the day, what actually wins it is which team coordinated better. And I know that's like super hard to kind of like visualize, but like that's how deeply rooted in tactics and teamwork the game is, to where like the guys don't, there's like advantages of certain factions, and it comes down to how you and your team use those advantages better than the opponent. It's not like, oh, we have this and it counters that, and then this thing also counters that thing, and like we're balancing it in that way where like things have hard counters, like you get in some other games of like, oh, I just lose this, I guess, because I have the wrong counter. There's always something you can do, because at the end of the day, the game is shoot, move, communicate. At the end of the day, the game is and whoever shoot, moves, and communicates better, like that is the essence. You could have a ranger element go up against a Al-Zalam insurgent element that doesn't have body armor or anything, and the Al-Zalam element can roll the rangers if they use tactics properly. And that has been a joy. That has been an absolute joy to watch.
That's been one of my most interesting things I've keyed in on, is it has to be so cool for you as a game dev to watch these play tests and see that stuff unfold. It has to be pretty cool. So kind of along those lines, one of the things that stuck with me from our previous interview was you were kind of migrating away from the PTFO mindset of just get bodies on the point, get bodies on the point. You've talked several times about how lives matter and people are going to learn that. Have you seen people adapt to that in these play tests like you thought they would? And in these play tests, have you seen anything like super crazy, like some crazy moments?
Yeah, because like every time we get new players to the game, you can see like, oh, I can tell this is a squad player. Just because like the way that squad leaders play, the way squad leaders play is they like every squad in squad kind of, or even in Hell Let Loose or any of these, you know, platoon scale shooters, they'll take their squad and then their squad just works individually apart from everyone else, and they just, you can kind of see that kind of mentality when people come into Bellum is like, okay, this is my squad, and they understand how to lead a squad and they understand like the basics of squad leading, but they don't understand how to squad lead in Bellum. And the difference is that in Bellum, you have to squad lead in coordination with the other squad leads. Like it is demanded of you, because if you don't, you'll get rolled. And so you'll see these people come in from other experiences or games, and they'll try to play it like that, and they'll get rolled. And then eventually over time, you see the same names come back, and you see like, okay, guys, what does the team want to do?
Right.
Because they're tired of getting stopped alone. And that goes even down to like the individual of like the lone wolf people, right? The people who are coming from, you know, other games where like it's common or normal where you're running off alone and you can do a whole bunch of damage to the lone wolf. You'll see that happen in Bellum too, where like you'll see, oh, I can tell this guy's new because he's gonna run off, and then he goes and runs off, and he gets rolled, and then you see like he because it is so punishing when you get rolled, and it is so visible, like you see your life counter go from 3 to 2. You're like, that that didn't feel so good.
You're like
you start
watching
seeing
a
people stick
social
together.
experiment, like a psychology experiment.
Yeah.
It is very psychological. It is so I made a video the other day, and I said like, yeah, this is kind of an experiment because it is a different way of playing first person shooters. It very much is different from what people are used to. And the joke, or like a thing that we say at the studio, is like, we are kind of worried about how much rewiring of people's brains that we need to do, because it is that different of an experience. Is that there's like a lot of video game isms that people have just gotten used to. Yep. Like for example, like claymores. We just added claymores. And like a lot of people like Call of Duty Claymore, you put it down, there's red lines, you step in the red line, the thing goes off. But that's not how they work.
Right.
That's really not how Claymores work. And so we added the Claymores in, and it's like, where's the red line? How does this thing explode? And it's like, you have to detonate it. Like that's how it works. And so seeing just people actually learn how certain things certain things are in game and in kind of the real world.
Yeah.
Fragmentation is another one. So there's a lot of people where they're like, oh, like a lot of games, frags are dramatically overtuned, like instant kill radius with an X. And that's just become a game thing, right? And every game is like, okay, we'll just do fragmentation and grenades that way. But that's not how they work. And the difference in gameplay between like actually making them work as they should and having this magical box or circle of insta death, it affects gameplay and affects how players interact with the experience.
Yeah.
And so fragmentation in Bellum is very authentic. When a device explodes, it will shoot a random pattern of the exact, or not exact, but like the approximate random number, like whether it's 700 or it's 2,000 fragments or whatever the case may be, in a certain direction. And so we can look at this example and think, well, how does this affect gameplay? Well, it means that like players actually, there's a reason to get low now, right? There's an actual reason to like hug the deck, because the way that spray pattern goes out, it is exponentially less likely to hit you if you're lower to the ground, which is authentic. That is how you get authentic reactions to grenades, right? Where in a lot of games, it's like, we just got to sprint away from this thing. Yeah. Right? It's just like, we got to get out of the radius. But if you want people to get down, like you should, whenever something is exploding, you have to simulate certain things as they would authentically be. And so fragmentation is one of those points that I always point back to how doing things authentically and how few games have done them authentically is like, it's a challenge. I probably have a discussion with someone every day in the Discord about the grenades are undertuned, the grenades are undertuned. I'm like, no, they're not. They actually just work how they should. They actually this is the first game that you've played where the grenades are actually tuned how they should. And there's a lot of things about the game that are kind of like that, where it's like people are just so previously scarred by how they've been playing at first-person shooters and how all first-person shooters have done things the same, that when they hop into Bellum and we do it right for the first time, like, that doesn't make sense.
I loved your video you put out the other day, kind of talking about the beta, and you do the eye in the sky videos, just showing all of these rounds going up and stuff like that. What's been one moment that the team like, obviously you guys are watching gameplays, you're watching how these players are moving around. What's one moment that you can think of where your team sat there and go, like, yes, this is the game we wanted to make. This is the experience we wanted to have?
Honestly, it's whenever we, like that video that you watched, that particular moment as well. Like, it's anytime we see like not just the squad and within the squad, those guys are communicating and working together. It's when you see all 40 dudes working together, and you're like, this is a box of random 40 dudes on this team, and they're all working together for a singular goal. It is a sense that like I only got previously, like I mentioned before, super highly curated. Like we're practicing 3 times a week for this Arma 3 thing, like kind of group. And it's the fact that we boil it down into this thing we just let out and people hop in. Those are the kind of moments. And you hear the comms and you're like, oh, you know, you can see this one squad is working directly with another squad, and seeing these macro platoon shooter movements and engagements. Those kind of moments are amazing. Also the comms are incredible. Like you can hear in a lot of the radio comms in whatever random video you stumble on YouTube for Bellum, like dudes get into it, and they get into it because they feel it, right? They feel the suppression, they feel that their life matters, they feel like they don't want to die. And even that trailer that we put out, all those radio comms are just clipped from people playing the game.
That was awesome,
it is,
by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, that whole trailer was actually based off of like an in-game moment that had happened, and we're like, this is Bellum. We have to do a trailer on this. Like people just, the machine gun team is doing what they're doing, the medics are doing what they're doing, everyone's working together as a squad. You feel this overwhelming pressure of the enemy team surrounding you that you don't know where they're from, right? Because it's they're moving all around the map. They have the freedom to do so, and you know they are just as focused, not on some silly objective, not on some gamified thing, but they are focused on killing you. They're focused on killing you, and you are fighting for your life on whatever it is. They're not trying to bypass you to ninja defuse something or to do whatever it is. They are literally there to kill you, and they're working towards a goal in order to do that. And that feeling is terrifying, and that's why you get like, once you like, it's kind of calm. You see like these engagements out to like 400 meters of like dudes skirmishing. But once you like see those guys like within 20 meters and they're getting close or they're right outside, it's terrifying. Yeah, it's cool. It's super cool. We love it. It's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. I can't imagine watching that and seeing people actually do what you kind of engineered and hoped they would do. That's got to be pretty cool, especially after the long development timeline and finally seeing that come into fruition. So with that being said, the last time we spoke, you said this game was more or less born out of a frustration with the genre and where it was heading. And now that the beta is here, I have a simple question. Did you fix it?
We'll see. I guess, you know, the players will be the verdict on that as far as how we're doing. But the good news is too, is right, like we mentioned before, it's been a slow, gradual build up. It's not like we're coming out of the shadows. People have been playing the project, people have been play testing and experiencing it, and we've been getting feedback all along the way, and the feedback has been resoundingly positive. There's like a funny joke at the studios, like we go through all the videos on all the comments and everything, just because I'm sure Fry, you know that too. It's like, I gotta see what's happening over here. And like some of the comments that we see is like, is there any unbiased coverage of this game? Because all the videos are so positive. And it's like, we were almost thinking like, that's kind of a problem. Like no one's saying anything negative, so it looks like all the videos are super.
I'm getting
like,
in there
biased.
this weekend, Karma. Trust me, I got you, brother.
I'm sure you'll find things.
Like, hold my beer.
But yeah, I'm sure you'll find things. But yeah, that's been like, it's been good. It's been good. Like the feedback we've been getting is good. The players are enjoying it. It's once again just. It's the fear or the nerves are that the people who the game is not designed for get into the experience, and then that is that can cause some temporary issues. Not like anything crazy or anything, but like it's just not really meant for. I know you said this earlier with War Dogs, but it really is not meant for everyone. It really is not. It's meant for a very specific group. We've set the things out financially so that we can cater that specific group over time. We would definitely love new people to come into the experience and to grow the genre and to share this very unique, very cool experience with as many people as possible. It is just going to take us time to build out those specific, features like tutorials or like proper learning materials and stuff like that, so we can introduce more people. But yeah, at this particular moment in beta, this early on, like where we want to serve it to the people who want it. And so yeah, it's been good. I think a lot of people, when I read the feedback, they always say like, this game has ruined other FPS for me. And I'm like, yeah, we joke like Milsim is a one-way street. Milsim really is a one-way street. Like the deeper you go, when you look back, it's like super hard to get into other experiences. And I just knew that because I went down that road. And that's how I ended up here. Is like, I can't go back to any other shooter. And so we're hoping that like we can deliver upon that promise. People enjoy it. And we do think it's you can't get that adrenaline anywhere else. Like if I could get that adrenaline somewhere else, I would be playing that. If I could get this experience somewhere else, I wouldn't have bothered with this multi-year long headache of a journey to do it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, man, April 10th, I wish you the best of luck. I think you guys are, maybe you didn't feel it a couple years ago, but I do sense an industry shift where people are looking for games with that friction, with that not designed for everybody, not sanded down. I think after well, let's just say Battlefield 6, I think a lot of people are realizing the flaws in that space, and they're looking for War Dogs. They're looking for Bellum. They might be looking at a Hell Let Loose. I think you guys are positioning yourselves well coming out this year in this capacity. So I wish you the best of luck, dude. One question we ask everybody at the end of every show. What is your one piece of advice to give to an aspiring game developer, whether they're making an FPS or something different? What would you tell them?
It would honestly be the same advice I'd give like a content creator, which is like, you have to love what you're building. You have to know and love what you're building. And it has to be this thing that you care about so much. Don't just go out and yeah, that would be my advice. I mean, that's just because it's my perspective. I don't think that's the only way to do it.
For sure.
But that's how I got here, is I just followed what I loved, and learned everything I could about what I loved, and try to share what I loved with other people. And I think that gives you a lot of power, a lot of energy, a lot of passion to trudge through what you and I know is a very treacherous, very stressful journey.
Yeah, it's you guys are doing very, very well. And I will say it's very impressive to see the consistency in you throughout the last 10 years. You can see exactly why Bellum was built. Like, just look at your channel. It makes total sense.
I appreciate that.
So yeah. You guys are doing very, very well.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Cool, man. Well, I think that is an interview. That was awesome, man. I super appreciate it. If you guys want to check out Bellum, there's a decent chance when you're watching this that the early access beta is going live. So if you are interested in it, check out playbellum.com. We just really appreciate your time here, man. And like I said, I echo what Fry said. I think you guys are setting up in a pretty good spot where people are kind of getting tired of the habituation that we get of just, playing the same AAA releases over and over. And they're looking for something that's a little bit different and gets that adrenaline just a little bit higher. So it's another option for you guys. And man, thank you for the glimpse behind the scenes. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's going to be an exciting year, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else you have to say before you sign off, Karma? One last thing to the people. Tell them about Bellum.
Just super appreciative to have all the support around the project, all the interest. Totally understand all the skepticism and all the hesitation. Yeah. Just wait, I guess, is the only advice I have. Like, if it doesn't look like it's for you yet, just wait. If not, no worries.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Back to the lobby.
I think so.
Guys, welcome back to the lobby. That was an incredible interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. I really think, man, just from my standpoint, my personal reaction, it's insane for me to be sitting in a video call with Fry and Karmakut, two YouTubers who I've watched for a long time. Yeah, I just wanted to say it's kind of surreal to be in a call with you guys, and I definitely don't belong, but I had fun. And I hope you guys have enjoyed these last few episodes. I've learned a ton from the last several dev interviews. Like, I love getting behind the scenes of the games and things like that. What was something that kind of surprised you about Bellum? For me, I will just say, to get the wheels turning, for me, it was like I learned new things about the decision to stay off of Steam, like that I hadn't thought of. That was what was interesting for me. What stuck out to you, if anything?
I think for me, what was actually interesting was, I try to kind of compare and look at, my experiences in game dev versus, another creators or another developers. What was interesting to me is actually how, I don't want to say hands off, but he delegated his own role to being on the design team. Right. So they're talking about design, they're talking about tweaking, they're talking about level design and stuff like that. But when it came to the actual, behind the scenes of like the engine work and the tooling and stuff, it's clear to me that he actually has a team of people that he trusts that are handling different aspects of it without his input. And I know with mine, it wasn't even about trust. It was really just about, I had to make sure that like everything was like handled like from a top down perspective. So it was interesting to see that even in that subtle little comment, just kind of seeing how the studio is structured. It was actually really interesting to kind of catch that tidbit. It's cool.
Yeah, I could see that if you're a studio lead, like especially in a small indie game, like you'd want to be doing everything to make sure it's done right, and that's not feasible in a massive project like that. So seeing him being able to delegate that and trust the people is like, having any kind of project like that, man, having a good team is like so important. You got to have a good team.
Yep.
So one person can't do anything unless you're Road to Vostok, and then there you go.
Facts. So by the way, that also launched today.
Dude,
Holy
I know.
Shit.
we didn't even cover all the games because we were going to talk about War Dogs and Road to Vostok and the ABI season. And like, there's just, the next episode is going to be a good one. It's going to be
Absolutely.
good. I'm excited.
Guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you enjoyed that interview, let us know what you think about Bellum. Let's have a conversation. If you guys are down there, leave a like on the video. Make sure you guys leave us a rating on Spotify. It does help. And honestly, we just hope that you guys are enjoying the work that we're putting into the podcast. We're getting guests on that we think are resonating with our audiences. The last Road to Vostok video is our first one that hit over 10K views on YouTube. The Spotify plays are flying off the charts. We're feeling good about the future. We got some more guests that we're currently trying to get lined up. The next few episodes are going to be me and Crash just shooting the shit. That's what it was. It was me and Crash just shooting the shit. That's a fucking tongue twister, bro.
That's a lot of
If you guys didn't notice the edit, this is why we don't do this one live. The next few episodes are going to be us talking about games, news, updates, and kind of getting back to that regular schedule. But we had a bunch of really dope interviews lined up around this March and April time, and we just hope you guys are enjoying them. And that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I would also say if there's any listeners who have some ideas for guests that you would like that we could maybe try to reach out to, like I said, and like Fry said, we read all the comments. So if there's any guests or devs or folks from any games that you'd be interested in hearing from, let us know. And we get enough interest, we try to reach out to some folks. Cause I just love having the mix of like, we got a news show and then we also get the dev interview stuff and just want to bring you guys good content, man. So thankful for everybody listening. And it's cool to see trending upward and people enjoying it. And the comments are, what would we be on Steam? I feel like we would be mostly positive on Steam.
I feel like based on the comments, I feel like we would be a very positive with I would say a smaller group of a growing player base is where we'd be sitting right now. And I love that.
Because everything's about Steam numbers these days.
100%. Yeah. Shout out Marathon, by the way.
We're already doing it. We're already trying to get into another episode. So we should probably leave. But thank you guys so much again. One more time, hit the 5-star reviews, likes, plenty of free ways to share the program.
Absolutely.
Do it all. Have a great week. Enjoy all the plethora of tactical shooters out there.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. Godspeed.
Peace.